Now, as you might have guessed, I have a bit more yin than yang. This does not mean I'm going to burst into your lady's bathroom. Another thing to be aware of, that's all part of it, is the yin and yang in every human being. The movement, the polarity manifests in every human being of the feminine and the masculine. And again, it's important to be, not to stray too much to one extreme or too much to the other extreme. Nothing in excess. But there's no human being who is totally in the middle. And if you're a man, it does not necessarily mean that you energetically have more yang than yin. There are men who have more yin than some women. There are some women who have more yang than a man. Now, as you might have guessed, I have a bit more yin than yang. This does not mean I'm going to burst into your lady's bathroom and claim my right to use it. And if you become aggressive with me and say, "Get out of my bathroom," I can say, "I have more yin than you." And the fact that you are aggressive towards me proves it. You should be in the yang bathroom. Michael, our Swedish organizer, who just spoke to you just now, yin or yang? He has even more yin than me. That's why he's so lovable. But don't go too far with your yin. You have countries too that have predominant, are more yin or yang. In the United States, you have states that can be, in the collective energy field, either more yin or yang. A typical example, or for example, on the whole, doesn't mean that every individual in that state corresponds to that, but on the whole, probably most people would agree that California is more yin, Texas is more yang. So if your car breaks down in the middle of the night and your cell phone doesn't work, you have to knock at a door. And if it's an extreme yang household, the door will open with a guy with a gun. What do you want? Get off my property. If you come to an extreme yin household, it's, "Oh, hi. Yeah, sure, come in and have some soup." Now, the danger is with the extreme yang, there you have just not helped a person who is truly in need of assistance and help, and you're totally closed, your boundary is so rigid that nothing penetrates, you desensitized yourself in your hardened attitude. It's an extreme form of yang. So you don't even know what you're doing to yourself ultimately. Now, there's also danger involved in the extreme form of yin, obviously. Perhaps you're helping a person in need of help, or you invite somebody in who's going to rob and kill you. And this is because you are loss of awareness, you're not more in the middle. To stay in the middle, more or less, of course you'll fluctuate. Will always probably be more yin than yang, but in certain situations I may suddenly be a bit more yang. But that requires wisdom. It requires openness to the present moment rather than living through mental concepts. And then your response to that situation will be correct. It will be either, there will be more yin in it or more yang in it. On the whole, and that is not a bad thing, Western civilization shifted from a very long time being predominantly and excessively yang, began to shift in the 60s more towards yin, and that was a wonderful thing, absolutely necessary. And that enabled a lot of the spirituality to come in from the East. The human potential movement, the equality for women, the respect for people who are outsiders rather than empathy towards other human beings who are of a different race or who are of a minority, or human beings who are other different. Gay people, finally the acceptance of gay people, all these wonderful things that happened through the shift to a more empathetic state of consciousness through shifting to yin, and that was a great thing. Otherwise we probably wouldn't even be here talking. But you have to be careful with the movement, because once it starts and there's not enough awareness, it can go on and on and on. And so the empathy towards others, which is a great thing, if you take it to an extreme, it becomes political correctness that can be very extreme. So you cannot say many things you can't say anymore. Don't disagree with me or with us, because anything you disagree with is hate speech. Stop, don't talk. Of course there is such a thing as hate speech, and that is clearly recognizable. So just as an example of an extreme form of permissiveness, actually there was already a great thing. Education changed very much. That's much more respecting the child, the end of corporal punishment, all wonderful things. Then, of course, permissiveness came so much that there was a total lack of guidance given to a child. So it went too much that way. Another interesting thing is, in many schools these days, they don't want to differentiate between children's achievement anymore. And I can see why, because it makes the child feel bad to be said, this, you are better than, you are not as good as that one. So when I was a child, we had sports events and I wasn't very good, as you might have guessed, at sports. And it was a little bit like the Olympics. You needed to have a certain number of points, and then you got a bronze medal, and then if you were even better, more points, you got a silver medal, and then you got a gold medal. And I got 39 points, which was just 1 point below the bronze medal. And all the bigger boys condescendingly came to me and said, "Oh, you did really well, I'm so surprised." Now, nowadays perhaps I would have received a gold medal. Don't even have to make an effort. Is that a good thing? You have to see. Finally, nothing in excess. It didn't kill me that I didn't get a bronze medal. I realized that, I knew that already, the physical was not my strength, being a puny weakling. Or as Arnold says, don't be a puny loser. So, just to give a very extreme form of yin now is, you have to allow the child to choose their own gender at the age of 7 already. So if they feel they're a tomboy, a girl is a tomboy, says, would you rather be a boy? Oh, might be a good idea. Don't you want to be a boy? Yeah, I want to be a boy. Okay, you dress you up as a boy, and there's a new, I couldn't believe it at first, in Ontario, Canada, there's a new law. If the child expresses his or her desire to be the opposite gender, this seems almost incredible, and I hope it's not true, but several people have told me it's true, and I saw it on the internet, a reliable source. Not fake news. If the child expresses a desire to be the opposite gender, might be an 8-year-old or 10-year-old, and the parents refuse to take this child to a doctor for hormone treatment, the state authorities are entitled to take the child away from the parents. Seems incredible, but that would be an extreme form of where something has gone wrong. So we need to be very careful with balancing things between the two. People tend to identify with a particular movement, so even though Yang lends itself more to ego, Yin also can become ego. If you're unconscious and you identify, that means it then determines the way you think and the way you see things. If I've said anything that you feel angry about right now, it means you have identified with something, and your ego identity you derive from that particular collective position. And that's fine, at least now you know it.